Okay, very good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Hackney Council Licensing Subcommittee B meeting. My name is Gareth Sykes. I'm the Governance Officer for this evening. I'm just going to read out the remote meeting protocol before we get to the agenda, which is as follows. Only speak to when invited to by the subcommittee chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. You can do that by physically raising your hand, but you also have a raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. And direct all communication via the chair, please. Please ensure that your mics are muted when you are not speaking. When speaking, please be succinct and do not exceed the allocated timeframes as set out in the hearing procedure at agenda item 5 in your pack. If referring to any written submissions, please refer to a specific page number in the agenda pack, or indeed in this case, in the supplementary papers. Any new evidence can only be submitted at the discretion of the subcommittee chair and the agreement of all parties present. If you're having any technical difficulties, please use the chat function to alert the meeting or dial in using the details in the invitation. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the subcommittee. Any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in your removal from the meeting. We will give you a verbal warning. If you don't adhere to that verbal warning, then we will remove you from this meeting. Once the application has been considered, any remaining parties will be allowed to log out to the hearing. That will conclude this meeting because we've only had one item this evening, and that will also end the live stream and the recording, allowing the committee members to discuss and decide on the decision for this item. And last but not least, the licensing service will be able to inform all parties of the skeletal decision within 5 working days. That concludes the remote meeting protocol. We are now going to go to the formal agenda, starting with agenda item 8. Could I ask the subcommittee members to elect a chair, please?
Councillor Palace.
Second.
Thank you. Before we will begin, I would ask members and officers to introduce themselves. I'll ask attendees for their respective agenda items to introduce themselves before we hear each application. So members.
Councillor Sharon Patrick, Kings Park Ward.
And Councillor Senmo, I'm a Hackney Downs Ward.
And I'm Councillor Sam Palace for Castleknock Ward. Can I just ask officers to introduce themselves at this time?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Subhash Sriramana, Principal Licensing Officer, and I'll be presenting the report. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amanda North from Legal Services, and I'm supporting members this evening. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Channing Riviere, Principal Licence Officer. I'm representing the Licence Authority this evening.
And in case anybody didn't hear earlier on, has just joined us, Gareth Sykes, Governance Officer. I'll be taking the minutes and also timekeeping for this meeting.
Great. So agenda item 2, apologies for absence. There are none at the time of writing. Agenda item 3, the declarations of interest. Do members have any interest they want are going to declare?
No.
No, Claire.
Thank you. Agenda item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. Subcommittee to note there is one set of minutes for consideration, 28th of August 2025. Do we have to agree them now, Amanda? Yeah, okay. Members, do you agree?
Yes, Chair.
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 5, licensing subcommittee hearing procedure. Amanda, can you outline the hearing procedure as contained within the agenda pack?
Yes. Step 1, we've already carried out, which is the appointment of chair and introductions. Step 2, the licensing officer will outline the report, and that will take up to 5 minutes. Step 3, the applicant's case. The applicant will present their case and in support of their application, and that they will have up to 5 minutes to do that. Step 4, responsible authorities. The licensing authority will, the chair will invite the relevant responsible authority, in this case the licensing authority who are in attendance, to highlight their reasons for objecting to the application as contained in the report, and they will have up to 5 minutes to do that. Step 5, other persons. The chair will invite any other persons in attendance to present their case, highlight their reasons for objecting or supporting the application as contained in their written submissions, and they will have up to 5 minutes to do that. I understand that we don't have any other persons in attendance, but the chair will make a brief comment about that. And then step 6, the discussion phase. The chair will structure and lead this discussion on the information presented, enabling the subcommittee members to clarify any points raised and ask any questions if necessary. They will have up to 15 minutes to do that. Step 7, the closing remarks. The chair will ask the responsible authorities and other persons and the applicants and licensing officer if they have any final comments to make. These comments can only be in relation to issues raised during the discussion. These remarks should be brief and they will have up to 10 minutes to do that. Then the step 8 is the final comments that members will make or any observations that they have, and they will have up to 5 minutes to do that. The meeting will then close and members will be able to deliberate their decision. Thank you. Chair, would you like to?
Sorry, you're muted, Councillor Palace.
You're on
No,
mute, Councillor Palace.
we got there in the end. Thank you for that, Amanda and Gareth. We're firstly going to go to the principal licensing officer. So Channing, if you've got up to 5 minutes, thank you.
No, it's actually Suba who will be making the.
Oh, is it? Sorry, I do apologise, Super. Thank you.
No problem. Right. So the item we are going to consider is for an application for the variation of the premises license received under Section 34 of the Licensing Act 2003 for the premises Waltz Bar, ground floor, 28 Scranton Street. The application was seeking permission to include late night refreshment from 2300 to 1 a.m. Monday to Thursday, and from 2300 to 30 past midnight on Sunday, and to extend late night refreshment until 3 a.m. on Friday and Saturday, and to extend the supply of alcohol for on sales until 1 a.m. Monday to Thursday, until 3 a.m. Friday and Saturday, and 30 past midnight on Sunday, as stated within the report. Since the draft of the report, the applicant agent has provided an additional submission in which they have provided an amended hours. So the new agreed amended hours are up till midnight, Monday to Thursday, and until 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday, and 22:30 on Sunday. The police have withdrawn their representation based on these amended hours and agreed SIA condition. Representation remains from licensing and one other person. We have also received an additional submission on the dispersal management plan and other set of documents, and all these documents it's been circulated, and I have nothing else to add. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We will now go to the applicant, Alan Thomas. I do apologise. Gento Torriegeta and Dev Siva Kumar. I do apologise. I'm dyslexic, so if I've mispronounced anybody's names incorrectly, please do let me know. So I will go to. I think Mr. Thomas is going to be representing the applicants today. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, you did. You didn't mispronounce it. Chair, could you indulge me with 10 minutes rather than 5?
It's as Mr. Thomas is as set out in the agenda, and that's how we'll be proceeding tonight. Thank you.
Very well. I'll deal with it at a bit of a canter, if I may. I'm sure there'll be questions. It's 1 extra hour we are seeking on top of the council's normal core hours. The police have withdrawn. There is just 1 residential representation. We've tried to contact the resident, but they didn't give any contact details, so that's not been possible. If they had, we would have met with them, etc. Their concern, as set out in their representations, is about queuing for live music. Well, firstly, Mr. Nevitt, who prepares an expert report, didn't witness any queuing, and secondly, we don't do live music. I think we've done 1 guitar once, so we think that might be a mistake or misunderstanding, but queuing is not an issue. There was a temporary event notice in place for the days that Mr. Nevitt was observing the premises beyond, I think the 10 was actually till 3 o'clock in the morning. He observed a subdued, relaxed and low key, not a pub or not a late night bar where patrons left the premises on foot quietly. And his conclusion was the premises was capable of operating successfully to later hours without adding to cumulative impact. So the issue here, Chair, is the policy, your special policy area, which was recently re-adopted. And these are the reasons why these premises do not add to cumulative impact. Reason number one, it's a small premises. There was a proposal to carve out small premises, particularly restaurants, in your statement of in the consultation of the licensing policy. This is a small bar with food with the capacity of only 40 people, so a very low footprint. Secondly, the reasons for the policy. So your policy LP10 requires us to demonstrate that the proposed activity will not add to cumulative impact as identified in any sorry, did you put your hand up, Chair?
I'm in a room where the lights go off, so that's what I was doing.
All right. So you've got to look at the reasons for the policy, which is identified in the cumulative impact assessment. So what does that cumulative impact assessment recognize? Is that cumulative impact is caused by pre and side loading, whatever that is, street drinking, urination, shouting and screaming, none of which were raised in the representation and none of which were witnessed by Mr. Nevitt. And it also highlights a shift towards a mainstream younger crowd. And I think he also recognised that there was a more mature crowd here as well. So everything in the cumulative impact assessment, which recognises what issues cause cumulative impact, are not present at these premises. So therefore, if they're not present at these premises, therefore there is very little, if any, risk that if you grant the application, that they would add to cumulative impact. It's also in a very low crime area. If you look at the heat map, it's in a blue area rather than a red area. And again, if it's in a low crime area, then there's therefore less cumulative impact. Sixthly, we've got very good natural dispersal routes to Liverpool Street and Old Street. Seventhly, there's no police representation, no environmental health representation. But most important, there is no evidence.
1 more minute.
Thank you. There is no evidence either in the representation or indeed independently witnessed by Mr. Nevitt that this use at this location will add to cumulative impact. And that's what it comes down to, Chair. It comes down to the underlying reasons for the policy and what type of premises that relates to, and whether our premises in any event undermines the licensing objectives and adds to cumulative impact, and that has been independently not witnessed by Mr. Nevitt, who carried out an observation over that weekend.
Thank you very much for that. I'm going to just open up to members for any points of clarity, but I would just ask one thing to Amanda, just to clarify that the size of a venue is immaterial to in the SPA. Is that correct?
We haven't had the final report, I don't believe, outlined any specific requirement that we had to take into consideration regarding small restaurants.
Thank you for that, just for that point of clarity. Mr. Thomas, if I can I'll come back to you when we go into the discussion, and you'll also have a chance to speak at a later point. Councillor Moema and Councillor Patrick, do you have any points of clarity?
No, none from me.
Thank you. All right. We're now going to go to the responsible authorities, and we only have licensing here. So over to Channing, please. You have up to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and be as quick as I can. You can see my representation at Appendix B2 of the online pack, which is on page 28 of the online pack. So the representation speaks to LP3 core hours, LP10 special policy area, and LP5 planning status. So firstly, I'll say we'll welcome the amendments that the applicant has made to offer reduced hours and provide a dispersal policy associated with the premises. Our concerns still remain around the hours, particularly on Sunday through to Thursday, because this is a building that is primary residential. So on top of this are residential premises, and therefore the risk of nuisance to those neighbours does sort of increase when you extend the hours, particularly on days when people would expect it to be less busy, which is during the week. So Friday and Saturday is probably a bit more acceptable if members are minded to sort of extend the license, but there's still that issue for us of the residents potentially being disturbed. Now, we do note that they had an expert observation take place, which is fine, but we'd also say that that is one instance. So if members are minded to grant the license, they'll be granting it for 52 weeks of the year, whereas an observation was made of 1 week. So is that enough to satisfy members that no issues would arise from extending the license to the hours sought? They've also acknowledged that the planning status, a separate planning application would need to be made in accordance with LP5. The planning hours for the premises would also suggest that, you know, the usage of the premises is probably thought of being primarily residential with commercial at the bottom. So again, it's about how members feel about the appropriateness of extending the hours in this location, given that it is underneath a residential building. If it was offices on top, then that would be a bit of a different scenario. But because it's residential premises on top, there's almost a direct impact to the people that live above. So I would ask members to take that into consideration, as well as what we've mentioned with LP3 and LP10. Nothing further to add, Chair, at this point.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to make a note about the other persons. There is only one representation from a local resident who has not attended this meeting. Therefore, I confirm that the written representation of the local resident has been read and will be considered when members make their decision. Okay. So, and that is in Appendix C. So now we go into the discussion, which will be led by members, where we'll get a chance to go into the application in a bit more detail. Yes, I will just start. And yeah, thank you, Mr. Thomas, for your representations. Could you just outline why you don't believe this application will add to the cumulative impact in the area? Thank you.
Well, Chair, I'll just go over the points again. I think size is clearly relevant. A 40 capacity bar and bar which does food is not the same as a 500, 600 or even a 200 capacity venue, because there are less people exiting into the cumulative impact area, and therefore there is less stress on public transport, less risk of nuisance, etc. With respect to Channing, I'm not sure that the residential nature of the block above was raised in the in his representation. I'm not trying to hide from it. The point about it, and it's relevant to cumulative impact in your question, Chair, is that there have been no complaints at all during the incarnation of these premises. So the point that Channing raised about, well, it was just one weekend that we had the temporary event notices. Well, we still have had no complaints, and we've been operating for a year with some temporary event notices. The next reason that we're not adding to cumulative impact is that you've got to look at the underlying reasons for what the cumulative impact assessment has identified, and those are pre and side loading, street drinking, urination, shouting and screaming, none of which were witnessed by Mr. Nevitt. You then look at the relevant crime, disorder and nuisance in the area, and that's the heat map that we've submitted, and you'll see that we're in a very low area of crime and nuisance, and therefore relatively low cumulative impact. And if we're in a very relatively low cumulative impact part of the cumulative impact area, there is less risk of there being more cumulative impact, because there's less cumulative impact to start with. If it was in a higher, if you were in the red area, there would be much more risk of cumulative impact, because you already had more cumulative impact in the area. But I think great weight is to be put on the absence of representations from police and environmental health, and the fact or what Mr. Nevitt witnessed. So this is a very small, well-run bar. All of these things in itself all of the individual things, including the character of the applicants. These aren't reasons in itself. You've got to look at all the reasons cumulatively, particularly in relation to the size of the premises, what it is, there haven't been any complaints, what they're doing, and what Mr. Nevitt witnessed. So in short, Chair, to answer your question, you look at the underlying reasons for the policy, which comes from the cumulative impact assessment, and you correlate whether the issues which have been identified, which lead to cumulative impact, are actually present here, which they aren't.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask the questioning of Channing, and then I will hand over to Councillor Moama or Councillor Patrick, whoever puts their question forward first. In terms of the dispersal and outside management policy, Channing, I was just wondering whether you have any observations or concerns as to what is outlined kind of by the applicant. Thank you.
When looking at the dispersal policy, we're quite satisfied that it's a decent looking dispersal policy. So we don't have any issues or concerns, and we welcome the fact that they actually produced and provided a dispersal policy.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll hand over to Councillor Moama. We can't hear you.
Can you just give me a second?
Councillor Patrick, do you have a question?
I do. Hang on a moment. I'm trying to find the other person's representation. I've got a question about that and about the premises that are listed in it, and I'm just trying to find it again.
I can put my question.
Okay. My question, I suppose, is to perhaps licensing officers, if they can assist. The other person's representation talks about other premises in the nearby vicinity, and indicates that if we grant the application to this premises, that they will be the latest opening premises in the vicinity. I wonder whether you could confirm that that is the case, or if these other premises have later hours, then perhaps you could inform the committee that.
Councillor, I think that's something maybe Suba could look into during the meeting and come back to you.
Oh, sorry, Chair, this question for me. Oh, sorry. Chair, from what we look into it, like the premises, the other person mentioned, the Old King's Head, the Fox, they are operating well beyond till past midnight, so 30 past midnight, and till sorry, the Old Fox is all 30 past midnight, Monday to Sunday, and for the Old Hill as well, it's all 30 past midnight on the weekdays. Does it answer your question, Chair?
Our representation is wrong then.
Yes, Chair. It's not 11 p.m. It's they're all operating beyond 30 past midnight.
Right. I just wanted to make sure that I've got the right information. I know you obviously the licensing authority would have the correct information. Thank you for that.
Do you have any follow-up questions from that, Councillor Patrick?
You talk about that. Sorry, Mr. Thomas. You talk about there being a well-run bar. I'm not saying it isn't, but it still is. You still asking till for midnight on Monday to Thursday, which is above core hours. There may not be enough complaints, I don't know, from the residents above, but it is above core hours and you are in the SIA. So I wonder, how you're going to ensure. I mean, you talked about that if we granted the applicant, how you're going to ensure that this doesn't cause any more cumulative impact, because there is a lot of cumulative impact. There's a lot of noise, antisocial behaviour, and residents do get some respite from it during the week when a lot of the premises don't open or don't open so late. So perhaps you could explain to the committee how this bar would make sure it doesn't add to the cumulative impact, which is what you have to prove to us before we can grant this license.
No, absolutely. And I think I've been through those
Yeah.
reasons, but essentially the proof is in the pudding. This premises is operated without complaint, with temporary event notices. It's been observed by Mr. Nevitt, and it's a very small venue. It's very different from the type of venues that cause cumulative impact. So, it might be worth. Do you mind? I know you've been very patient with time here. I think it'd be good if you heard from Devon and Gento. They can explain to you just briefly, not too long, as to what the concept is. I think it's really important you get a feel for it. So can I just hand over to Dev? Dev, can you just tell the committee about the concept, what it is, where it's from, how you do it, etc. And Gento as well as here. Speak up.
So the style of operations that we run is mainly a sit-down bar counter, which is only 14 seats. And generally for all the guests that come in, every drink, Gento is, we use a lot of fresh ingredients, and each drink is probably a 7 to 8 minute preparation time and so on. So effectively, guests that come in only do 2 drinks, on average 2 drinks, 2.5 drinks. Our main reason for the application for us is we run basically a 2-hour seat policy on the bar seats so that people get the full experience. And sometimes when we get guests come in, we would like to give them that full experience to be able to at least enjoy the space for at least that 1 hour, 1.5 hours that it's available. But the style that we do is not like a fast-paced type of drinks. And to be honest, our pricing for our drinks are about £18 a drink. And so people are coming here specifically because of the style and quality of what we are providing.
What about your demographic, the age demographic, and strongly male, strongly female? Or?
No, very mixed. I think generally we find that it's from a gender basis, it's quite equally spread. We have a lot of couples that come in, a lot of date nights, and we don't have a lot of big groups. And in fact, we don't encourage big groups to come in and sit at the bar. We have a private table that they can use in big groups that come in. But again, we run.
Do you serve beer or
Mr. Thomas, can I just, questions through the chair, and I'm just conscious of time. I think we have got a picture of the bar, and thank you very much for that, and the kind of nature of it. You will have remember concluding remarks also. But thank you for that. Councillor Moema, if we can go to your question, please.
Thank you. I've sorted out my sound now. I just wanted to ask Mr. Thomas, and maybe Channing, you may want to comment as well. So the chair has noted that the other person isn't in attendance, but at one of the appendices, I think it's C2, it does talk about obviously the live music, which we've discarded as an issue because that seems to be, that's not something that you do. But the second point that I do want to ask you is about management of people coming in and out of the premises. And that is something that would be material to being in the CIA for the upstairs neighbours. Channing said it's a residential building. So I'd like some extra information about how you plan to manage that, because that has been, the person who wrote that has tried to draw that to our attention. So we need to just interrogate how you're going to make sure that there isn't noise from the street into people's homes.
Absolutely. Can I deal with that in 3 ways? Firstly, just while we've been speaking, I've clarified the situation with Dev that we'd be happy with the condition that after core hours, the number of customers accommodated on the premises would be no more than 20. So we have got 40 seats, but as you've heard, we have this feature bar where the customers are seated. So that's another point on cumulative impact. Actually, our customers are seated and it's restricted to 20. The second point is we've agreed a condition with the police that the use of SIA would be risk assessed. So on appropriate evenings, and I can't think of any appropriate evenings where we would need Burley Door people on the front door, but that is something which we have agreed as well. But thirdly, you'll have seen a robust operational management and dispersal plan, which has been submitted, which is also a condition of the license. And Dev, can you just how are people met and Gret, and how do people leave? There's a good example actually. I think it's noted in your menu that if people come and there's nowhere for them to sit, how are they dealt with?
Can I just, before you answer, Deb, I just want to shift the question slightly. It is specifically about people queuing to get in.
Yeah.
Obviously,
So-
you have a dispersal policy, and the SIA will move people along towards
Yes.
public transport, but there is a specific issue raised about people queuing and crowding on the pavements.
Yeah, and we've been very aware of that. So what we do with our seating policies is that we are a walk-in only, because we wanted to make it accessible to all and fair to anybody coming in. So we don't do any privileged services for regulars or anything like that. But basically, when people come in, we fit them onto the bar seats as they come in, and then what we do is we've created a small standing area in the bar. So in that space in the bar, we have a limited service that we do that while they are waiting, they do get some drinks and snacks if they require. And then as seats move up, because we maintain a 1.5 to 2 hour seating policy at the bar seats, as that moves up, we move those people who are waiting. So to be honest, we generally don't let people, we try very hard not to let people wait outside, and to a large extent our style of bar is quite I would say more sometimes what we do is we actually also do send them to other sister bars around that we have, but we generally do not allow people to wait outside. And we don't want them to wait outside too long as well. It's not the type of style of space that we want. So we try to manage them. And then if the private table is also available, we move people into those seats while they are waiting. But ultimately, the main experience for us is them moving into the bar. So we have a full menu for the bar menu, which people don't get until they sit at the bar. So that's how we manage the flow. In terms of outside number of people, we actually haven't had any incidences of any major queuing outside. I think there was one event we did where we were in the daytime where we were selling the glassware that we use, because we use a very particular type of Japanese glassware. That was probably the biggest queue that we did, and we actually had people standing outside managing the door. I was one of them, and trying to make sure that they queue, but that was in the daytime. In the nighttime, if there's any queue, we try to manage it very quickly to move them into the standing area inside. So I think I don't think we've had any incidences of many people waiting outside. No.
Okay, no, that's fine. Thank you for that. Thank you, Deb. I just have one very quick question about if this license is granted. There's a question in the paperwork about your planning permissions. Can you or Mr. Thomas, back to Mr. Thomas, could you just talk us through what the current status is?
So we are subject to that planning condition. We didn't want to put two applications in at the same time, because if you weren't with us tonight, it would mean that our application for planning would be wasted. So of course, the planning and licensing are separate regimes, but it's whichever is the more restrictive. So at the moment, even if you granted our variation, we would be still subject to that planning, and in order for them to be brought in line, we'd have to submit an application. So, but if you're with us tonight and grant the application, you're not waving away planning. We are still subject to that.
Thank you for that, Mr. Thomas. So I've got Amanda's been working very patiently, so I will go to Amanda first, and then Gareth. I can see that Councillor Patrick has got a question, but I'll just take Amanda because I can see that she's been waiting there.
No, it's fine. Thank you, Chair. Just a few points that you might want to get clarification on is, do they serve any food at all? And how many people are in this holding standing area? Is it, so is it, is it vertical drinking effectively in that section?
Okay, and Mr. Thomas, would you be able to answer those questions? Thank you.
I think so. Dev can chip in. The queuing area, if I can call it that, there is seating in that area as well. Sometimes people do stand in that area if the seat is becoming free. So I wouldn't want to restrict that area just to seated. But to answer your question, there are 14 chairs at the main table, and the waiting area is about six to eight. So it's 20, 22, something like that.
Okay, thank you. Gareth, is there a point you want to make?
Just to proceed. Oh, sorry, Mr. Thomas.
And I interrupted you, Gareth. Sorry. Oh, food. You should have received the food menu with the papers. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, it was submitted.
There's a menu, but it's full of drinks.
Yes, that's
it's at the back.
Oh.
Do you want to just, if you could, Gento, do you want to just talk through the food menu?
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry. Right, Gento, can you? This is a food pairing menu, I take it.
Yeah. So even as a cocktail bar, we offer authentic Japanese bar snacks. One of the 8 dishes is quite substantial. Steamed rice and mixed with green tea. It's a traditional Japanese breakfast dish, modified into something suitable for British palate. Those are to go with our cocktail offerings, specifically paired with some starting cocktails on the menu. So yeah, we do have food offerings which have been receiving a good reviews so far. Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Gareth, is there something you want to?
Yeah, couple of points. One is a procedural point. Obviously, we're now past the 15 minutes. And also, just with the food, I've got the menu open. There appears to be, which was in the folder that everybody had, all the members had access to. I believe food is on the very, very last page. Wasabi peas, pori pickles, if I pronounce those correctly, etc., and raisin and butter. So that's the only food I can see on the menu list that I've received. Just for clarification, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, just in terms of what's been described by the applicant, is that all the food that is served at the premises?
I think they've been candid enough to say it's more of a bar snacks menu than full substantial table meals. We've never set out there were restaurants as such. The cocktails are paired with food. Sorry, Dev, do you want to chip in?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether that full menu was submitted to yes, but on the full menu we have, if I could just quickly explain, I won't take too much time. The raisin and butter is actually, it's a dish where we actually take figs and raisins, which we've macerated, and we actually mix it with cream cheese and butter, and we actually serve it on a digestive biscuit. We have another one which is called takuan cheese, which is using daikon radish with British cheese that we get from Neil's Yard, goat's cheese, served on a cracker. We have
how many will they have? Will they have one or more than one?
Each order is 2 pieces, and then ochazuke, which is what Gento was talking about, is a full rice dish with salmon and in a tea broth.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Councillor Patrick.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to check that I heard Mr. Thomas right. Planning application. I understood what he said, that the bar was applying for the license first, because they didn't get the license, that the applying for a planning permission wouldn't be needed, which does make sense.
No, not needed, Chair. There'd be no point applying for planning because we wouldn't have got the license.
Well, yeah, that's what I basically said. Yeah. Sorry, but Could we have a guarantee that you won't use the license until you've got planning permission for the late to use the bar for later hours?
I think the answer to that is yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, is the
Right.
answer.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. I think we are going to move on now to concluding remarks from everybody who has made submissions. We've got up to 10 minutes for this. So I will go to the applicant first, and I'll go to Mr. Thomas. Thank you.
Chair, and thank you for your patience with time. Chair, if there was ever an exception to your policy, it is this. We have restricted the capacity after core hours to no more than 20. You've heard the majority of those people will be seated, and it goes to what is the driver of cumulative impact in your special policy area. And it is not small 20 capacity independently owned Japanese restaurants. It's large premises, large vertical drinking premises with preloading, with urination, all those things set out in your cumulative impact assessment, none of which apply to us. So we're the antithesis of all of those things. And don't just trust me, trust the words of, there's been no complaints. Even the interested party didn't talk about any nuisance as such. They talked about live music, which I think is a bit of a red herring. We've had no complaints. Environmental health are happy, and they wouldn't have said they were happy without checking the complaints record. So look at the underlying reasons for the cumulative impact policy, and then you look at us, and the two things couldn't be more chalk and cheese. And if we don't undermine the reasons for the policy, therefore that is a reason that you should grant us, because we wouldn't add to cumulative impact, because we're not like those other premises. There were some other late night premises in the area. There's a 6 a.m. bar at 23 Paul Street. That has a 3 a.m. license. I think through the week rather than just at weekends. But ultimately, Chair, you'll deal with this application, as I know you always will, on its specific merits. There is no precedent for you granting anything here. It's absolutely on its merits, which I've outlined above.
Before we go to Channing, Amanda?
Yes, Chair. I don't know if you want to get clarification. I know it's been spoken about briefly, but clarification on the fact that they're open 7 days a week. Would they have considered any concession about local residents being above them, maybe to reduce the number of days or not, or the hours based on that?
Mr. Thomas, would you be able to address that?
Chair, it's a matter for you. You've heard from the officers. We've asked for an extra hour, just Monday to Saturday. Will you bear with me just a moment?
Well, Sunday is what we've asked for.
Yeah, the Sunday hours are the policy hours. We have asked for an extension beyond core hours during the week, and also Friday and Saturday. Chair, you've heard what officers got to say. I think Channing said he would feel more comfortable if you just granted Friday and Saturday. Chair, it's a matter for you. We've applied for throughout the week and Friday and Saturday, and indeed Sundays, but that's within core. And we hope you would be with us. But of course, you will assess it on the evidence you've heard.
Okay, thank you. Now I hand over to Channing.
Thank you, Chair. Not really much to add in closing remarks. As Mr. Thomas has said, we'd be more comfortable if members were minded to grant the application, that it would be for the Friday and the Saturday only. There's not really much else for us to add at this stage, unless you have any questions.
Yeah, thank you. And just a lot of final kind of element of the agenda. It is about whether there's any points of clarity from members. Councillor Patrick?
Sorry, no, Chair.
Councillor Moama?
None for me.
I just got one point I just want to just get a bit more clarity on is just, can you just clarify why you want to go beyond, why you need to go beyond non-core hours?
That's a very good question, which Dev is going to answer, and I know he's got the answer.
Hi, I think as we explained, because we do run this 2 hour type of seating policy, and generally people are coming for 2.5 type of drinks. That's the average we have currently. So what we're hoping to do, at least with that extended hours, is that at least people coming in just that half an hour at 10 p.m. after dinner, because we get a lot of after dinner crowd from 9:30 to 10. And what we're hoping to do is at least they can, without us kicking them out too early, they can at least enjoy 1 or 2 drinks without having this pressure of time with them. So that's our main drivers of business has been actually the pre-dinner and after dinner crowd.
Chair, I think if you don't mind me just adding to that, there are 2 advantages by coincidence, should you be minded to grant. A, that it means there's less queuing, because of course we're able to accommodate more customers during that period. And secondly, they don't need to go and find somewhere else to drink, which of course is a key driver to cumulative impact.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Thomas. Okay, and on that note, Gareth, I presume there's nothing else I need to say procedurally. We could move to close the meeting. Is that correct?
Yeah, just to say, Chair, there's no temporary event notice at item 7 for this meeting, so that is effectively it.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, thank you for everybody to attending, and we will we'll share decision shortly with the applicant. Thank you.
Will it be within 5 working days? Will you write to us, Chair? Or do you want to stay on the call?
Amanda, would you be able to clarify the timeline?
We aim to issue the decision in 5 working days. Thank you.
Well, Chair, on behalf of us all here, thank you very much indeed for your due consideration and patience, particularly with me.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Okay,
Thank you, everybody. So could I ask my colleague in ICT, Monsieur, to end the live stream